NRail. We're now introducing Eric Spencer with the Free-moN N-Scale Modular Railroading Group. You can see on the sign just behind him how you can log on to Facebook or freemon.net and learn all about Free-moN. But we're going to save the Free-moN promotion for a moment, because what's really interesting to us at the moment, and I mean interesting to us at the moment, is, Eric, what was the first time that you ever saw an N-scale modular railroad?
First time I ever saw an N-scale modular railroad, maybe the New Jersey Southern NTRAK at Wilmington, Delaware, Greenberg train show.
Okay.
When I was still a civilian.
All right.
And I saw like really good scenery, saw something bigger than I could produce at home by myself.
Right.
So, the seed was planted, I guess.
Yes.
At that point.
So that's what impressed you, is that you could do it at home?
Well, no, it was bigger than what I could do at home.
Okay.
But, seeing the sections, so you could build your section and join other people.
Right.
But, that stood out to me at the time, because I was wrestling with going from a starter set to what do I build in the basement.
Right. Do you remember how old you were at the time you saw that?
Yeah, maybe my early 30s.
Early 30s. All right, so right in the middle, mid-career, really. You're just getting started.
Well, yeah. At that point, I was realized I could go back and play with model trains again.
Yes. All right, now the other question we've asked everybody in the world of NRail was, thinking back to your entire career, what was your favorite N-scale module or moment? What's your favorite memory from N-scale model railroading?
Oh my God, there's too many. But here this weekend, I really like. There's a module from Fremo, Nebraska, from Mark Watson, Roca, which is based on some prototypical location in Nebraska. I don't know where it is exactly.
Yeah.
But just like a Quonset hut or whatever it is, and the little fertilizer cylindrical farm vehicles, and I was just like, I've been through Nebraska on I-80. I'm like, this kind of makes me think of what's probably there.
Right.
And just, the higher level of focusing on the prototype was, that was kind of like an aha moment from going from NTRAK to Fremo-N specifically, but I could really build anything I could imagine.
Sure. And speaking of building anything you can imagine, what modular systems have you worked with? We know about NTRAK. You've done that?
Well, yeah, I've built a couple NTRAK modules. I've built Fremo-N modules, and I had a 4x8 in the basement. I planned for maybe like a basement empire, but I just never really liked any of my designs, and I don't like my basement either. And the 4x8 was okay for a little while, but I got tired of going in circles, and so I started building Fremo-N, and then I said I need to clean up the basement. It's time to get rid of this 4x8. But I liked some of my scenery.
Yes.
I didn't want to throw it away. So I got down there with a jigsaw, jigsawed out the two scenes I wanted to save, and then built Fremo-N end plates and fascia, and they are Fremo-N modules now. They are both freelance Alaska-based modules that were kind of my impressions of visiting Alaska in 2013. And they are both very popular modules for some reason.
All right, so what we've heard about you is that pretty much anybody who does Fremo-N on the East Coast knows Eric Spencer.
Well, I don't know about that, but...
All right, tell us, how many Fremo-N modules have you built?
Modules, I built 9, I guess.
9?
Yeah, and I got another big loop in the works, but
okay.
And I got to make more legs for it right now. So.
And how far East Coast to West Coast on this country have you traveled with Fremo-N?
Well, with Fremo-N modules, I went to the Salt Lake 2019 NRail public show.
Salt Lake City?
Salt Lake City, where I met a lot of the West Coast Fremo-Nites.
Yep.
And I drove out there. That's the furthest I've traveled with modules.
Yes.
And I actually didn't even know about Fremo-N until 2015. I went to the Sacramento N-scale enthusiast, but not as an actual registered attendee. Me and the missus, we flew into Sacramento I timed our vacation, so I could go on Friday morning or at noon to the public show.
Smart.
And I saw Fremo-N for the first time, and I believe that was Silicon Valley and Sacramento Fremo at that point. And I suddenly had the aha that, with NTRAK, I really liked it, but I was also struggling in the sense that I couldn't fit what I wanted within a box.
Right.
And then all of a sudden I saw that, well, no, I designed a track plan and then built a box around it.
Okay.
And that was at that point, it was kind of like creativity unleashed.
So that lit the fuse for your attraction to Fremo N.
Yes.
All right, now today, we're at the Amherst Society of Model Railroaders at the Model Railroad Show in West Springfield, Massachusetts. This is 2023, which is the 50th year. We're kicking off the celebrations of 50 years of N-scale modular model railroading. And in addition to your modules, how many Free-moNites have joined you here today?
Well, there are, let's see, 6 of us that actually brought modules. 7 of us that brought modules. And 3 of the people, they're model railroaders, but they've built and brought their first Fremo N module for the first time out to this event. So we had 3 new people we knew but have built their modules. Actually, one person totally new. We had DeBob's Man Cave.
Yes.
He built a Fremo N module, and everyone here, because of course everyone knows who he is.
Yes.
It's a really nice module. We have a gentleman, David, from New Hampshire. He's kind of like connected with us over the Facebook group and said, all right, like, we're gonna build a module. And then we have Eric from your club, JM, who wants to do Fremo N. He's built his first modules.
That is awesome. So how many modules are we looking at in here today?
Well, crap, I didn't count, but we're actually running the scale speedometer, odometer car, and I think it's gonna come out to about 12 scale miles.
12 scale miles. There's gotta be at least 30 or 40 modules in here, it feels like.
Well, our square footage is 3,000.
3,000 square feet.
Yeah, so this is, I think it's a healthy size. We've done bigger layouts like at the 2019 Salt Lake, at the Evanston Fremo Weekend in 2021. We've had bigger layouts, but this is a very large layout, but it's not too big.
Right.
The problems, there really hasn't been any problems. You get much larger, DCC becomes difficult and problematic.
Yeah.
But we, knock on wood, we've run flawlessly this weekend.
That is terrific news. All right, so let's promote Fremo N. Fremo N, why today, why now? You've said all the reasons for you, but what is the driving reason for somebody to join Fremo N today?
The reason to join Fremo N is because any track plan that you imagine as a freelance, or if there's a prototype you want to build, you can build the frames to deliver that prototype.
Yep.
There's no constraint in that regard.
Okay. And it is a single track meeting pretty much at the junction points, right?
Yeah.
What is the benefit of a single track over the styles of track we've seen in both T-TRAK, 2 tracks, and NTRAK, 3 tracks? What's the benefit of one track?
Well, you got to put it in that the context of the history of model railroads. NTRAK evolved before there was DCC, and we built ovals.
Yes.
Because of the DC nature. You got to kind of one track, one power supply.
That's right.
Now I know we grew it to the point that you'd have multiple power supplies for districts along the track, but it's one train per one track. And of course, you want to run more than one train, so you had more than one track.
Right.
And T-TRAK a little bit along the same way.
Yes.
Multiple trains, multiple tracks for DC. The DCC era, that restriction has been lifted through that technology. And if you think about real railroads, how often do you see more than one track? You'll see double tracks, but they're not. They're sidings. I mean, let's leave out the racetrack in Chicago and some of the Transcon, but like, I'm from Delaware, everything is single track there. Even the CSX is single track through Delaware.
Right.
And that's the main north-south rail corridor on the East Coast.
So is it true to say that Free-moNites are really passionate about prototypically accurate model railroading?
Some people are, and I really like that, but you don't have to be focused on the prototype. It's just that we are a minimum standard.
Yep.
And what's the minimum you need? A track.
A track.
Now we have the standards evolving a little bit. There is a double track standard, and it's just like NTRAK and even T-TRAK. There's private section interfaces, and then there's module interfaces.
Yes.
A module can be multiple physical sections.
Right.
So you can have track work whatever you want on your internal section boundaries.
Oh yeah.
And then your handoff to other people's modules is that single track, or now the evolving double track standard.
Right. That is really neat stuff, and I think that Fremo N has just partnered in the past year with the NTRAK organization that rebranded itself as NRail to take on so many of the new interests among modular N-scale railroaders. So what do you see emerging from this partnership where NRail is supporting Fremo N and vice versa?
It's very simple for me. I've been an NRail member for a while, probably since I discovered Modular 8-9 years ago. I joined because I want to support the custodian of the NTRAK standard at the time, but more importantly, just promoting N-scale. I'm not a T-TRAKer, but every T-TRAKer helps there be more economic power within the N-scale community, get us more products that we, both a T-TRAKer and myself, may want.
Right.
So it's just, for me, it's not competing standards. We're all N-scalers, and as a community, we drive whether manufacturers build stuff for us or we're stuck building everything. You know, I spend a lot of money. I like to buy freight cars. Like I don't want to 3D print and paint every one of my freight cars. Like right, so T-TRAKers buying freight cars helps me as well.
Is it fair to say that as N-scalers, we are stronger together?
Well, yeah. Like
Absolutely.
I said, the collective economic power.
That's right.
We don't need to be competing standards, just different standards.
That's true.
And the T-TRAKer, you know, right, in T-TRAK, it's very different than Fremo N, but it's whatever you have fun with.
Right.
This is like, you know, I do this because I have fun.
Yes. We don't do it as a job. We don't do it as a what? It's just to have fun.
Yeah.
All right. Speaking of competing standards, we're now competing with Amherst's Maggie the Clown, who's hollering up and ringing bells and all kinds of things. So now that there's a pause in this, I'm going to ask you, what's the last word? What do you want to say to the global NRail audience about your experience with Fremo N right now?
I would say just, like I said, have fun. If it's not fun, then don't do it. Don't get caught up in the negativity that we see from some of our other fellow model railroaders.
Okay. Keep it fun, and just do it.
Yes.
All right. We will work on themes and memes, although I've actually heard Fremo N say, what's the meme that has been described?
Raising the bar.
Raising the bar. I like it. Let's finish with that. What does that mean? Raising the bar.
Try to get better. I am not a good modeler. I'm actually a very poor modeler, but I try to improve my modules every time. Every time you see me, there should be at least a little something extra going on in one of my modules. This time I got a new building painted. That was not on a particular module the last time anyone saw it.
There you go.
It's not a lot, but it's a little bit more.
Absolutely. And I'll be honest, I've seen so many young faces participating in Fremo N. I believe the future is bright for N-scale, and Fremo N is a big part of that equation.
Yep.
So, Eric, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate it. We'll see you on the tracks.
See ya.
Bye-bye. This engineer saw our camera set up for the last interview and asked if anyone could be interviewed. So here's the question. Jack, how long have you been modeling with the Fremo N guys?
Since April of last year. I went down because he said bring a train, and I brought a train. And I met Eric, really cool guy. About a week and a half ago, I messaged him. I'm like, can I run some trains at Amherst? He's like, come on in. So
it was literally that simple. Did he charge you dues to join? No dues. All you had to have was a train, right?
yeah,
So when did you become an N-scale model railroader?
Christmas of 2020.
Okay.
My mom bought me my first Kato starter set.
Yes.
The ACS 64. And thank you again. And ever since then, I was hooked. My dad brought me to the hobby store just days later, and I spent all my Christmas money on a simple double track loop Kato.
Yeah.
And my neighbor gave me a couple of his freight cars because he doesn't do it anymore. He's actually a conductor for New Jersey Transit.
Yep.
And
And how easy was it for Eric to get you subscribed and involved with what this group is doing?
I don't know on Eric's side, but for me, it was just as easy as talking to him for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And we talked through Messenger and other apps like that.
Did they make you build a module before you joined in?
No, he said I need to build one in the future.
Okay. So there's expectation, but there's also a learning curve.
Yes, sir.
So you're learning at this show, right?
Of course, learning every minute.
And you're having fun?
All day, every day.
That's the bottom line, right?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, you're talking to the world of NRail right now, and it is a world. It's not just the United States; it's around the globe.
That's
so.
crazy.
What would you mind tell us how old you are?
17.
17-year-old Fremo N model railroader. You get the last word. What would you like to say to the world of NRail?
Oh wow, that's a lot of pressure. I was looking up to people who had these really, really fancy locomotives, and I had 2 BLIs, and I'm like, this is awesome. And I saved up my money, and I bought these.
Sounds to me like you're a guy who is a man of action. You're just making it happen, and you're
That's my goal.
and you're doing it while having fun.
One thing I can tell you is it's never too late to go out and get your first train, but you can never get out of it. It's like a bug that you can't get rid of. No vaccine, no medicine, nothing in this world can cure model trains.
That's a really smart statement you just made. Only made even more smart by this first statement you made, which is that mom and dad got you a present. That's how it started, right?
That's how it started. I remember asking for it, and it was a long shot because it was expensive. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
And because of them, I'm where I am now, and I can't think of enough for it.
That's awesome. It was Jack, right?
Yes, sir.
Jack, thanks for joining us here at the 50th anniversary of NRail N-Scale Model Railroading at this show in Amherst, West Springfield, Massachusetts. You enjoy the rest of the show.
You too.
All right.
Bye.